on, everybody? It is Monday, January 6th. It is snowing pretty bad. I don't know where you're at, but where I'm at. Today I wanted to talk about writing music again with, I'm using OP XY, I'm using Eurorack, I use Ableton. I did a stream on Saturday where I didn't really succeed at creating a track the way that I wanted to, and I would say this might be a glimpse into me, writing a better track, right? And I was trying to explain how to do this in arrangement view. Basically, all I do when I sequence is I send MIDI out of my system up here, out of my sound card, into the Elektron boxes first, and then it spits MIDI downstream to the other two instruments, which is OPXY and the poly end, right? And so I'm constantly sending clock around until it hits sequencers, and then these sequencers are programming sounds, and I control my Eurorack with the Digitone. And so today I'm going to take this approach where I write kind of, like I said, thematic music, and how would I approach that, right? Or how do I write my music? And somebody asked me, how do I track out the OPXY? We're going to look at doing that today. We're going to track these things out, right? So, and I'm going to do it pretty fast. So if anybody's watching, I'm in session view today. Later, I will move to arrangement view, sure. I did fix the volume levels. Someone commented a stream or two ago that my levels were a little strange. And ever since I got my new keyboard, I didn't realize something was going on that keyboard. So that was my fault. Hopefully it's nice and loud and super clear for you to hear me today. And let's just dig in, okay? So typically I pick a tempo, right? Today I'm gonna pick, I guess, 105, right? I'm just picking things at random. I got kick drums going in a couple boxes, but the one I like the most right now is actually in the Digitone, right? So if you listen to that kick drum, that's actually coming from the Digitone, right? So I'm gonna take a sample. And like I said, it happens really fast in my world, so I take, 4 bars of the kick drum, and then you can hit enter to end the bar. So there's my clip, and then I drag it over to a new space, and I mute the sound here, right? So, and I got a cymbal on the Digitone, right? And I'm gonna give it a little more volume, because again, I'm tracking everything out. And again, I'm going to take a sample here in a second. And I find where I like it, and now I'm going to take the sample. So ready? 1, 2, 3, 2. And again, I'm just taking them as audio clips in Ableton, so these are the musical ideas. And there's that ride cymbal, right? And then I mute it over here, right? And then I got a knock sound that is my snare drum. And I can always turn down that ride cymbal because it's a little heavy in the mix, right? So now we're ready to do my knock sound, right? Notice it's happening pretty fast, and the rhythm is definitely what I focus on first. So as I'm doing this, the rhythm section is kind of where I work first and foremost. The reason I do this too, and we will see in a moment, and this is not a joke, here's that clap sound. This is all out of the Digitone. So surprising enough, yesterday I had a friend text me. He asked me if the Digitone could make drums, and I was like, oh yeah. And so I have a lot of really good FM drum sounds in my Digitone, right? Okay, so we sampled the Digitone. If you don't want one of those sounds too, because it's a little dominant, you know. And now I got a really nice snare drum in the Digitakt. Typically I like the DR110 from Roland, if anybody wants to know what snare drum I use. I owned the DR110 for years, and it's like a 606 analog circuit, a little different, a little softer. It is my preferred drum machine. And so there's that snare. And let's see. And I got a hi-hat in here too. So the Digitakt is the snare and the hi-hat, and the rest of the drums were all from the Digitone, okay? Now, like I said, I'm building up a rhythm. I didn't sample the bass yet. So the drums are the first element that I'm sampling, right? So, and now that I've done it, these machines are muted again, right? We've got 4 drum elements I got from the Digitone. I've got 2 from the Digitakt, right? And now, again, I got a bass line that's playing out of the OPXY. So that's just lazy ass bass sound, right? And if we're getting technical, that's me playing A, the note A, and that would be A minor. So I'm in the key of C. I wanted this to be really simple. And typically I do this, like I'll just record something really basic before I have an idea, okay? Meaning the actual structure of what I'm gonna do, right? Now, if I didn't want to pick that yet, watch this, I'm gonna mute it, and I know I have chords played on one of these tracks, yeah. I think that's A minor, and that's C, right? So I'm playing 2 chords. All right, I can filter that down too, which takes some of the harmonics away from the strings, so they're in the background, right? And I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a sample, that's strings coming out of the OPXY, and all the drum sounds, Digitakt and Digitone, 5, 4, 3, 2. Here's my loop. So I just started taking the loop now. And like I said, if we were writing a soundtrack, this could be a theme. This could be something really simple, like how you're writing a groove, right? And that was my strings. Now, if I messed up, I can just hit enter, and I can end that for 2 bars of strings, right? And then I typically move that over to another track, right? And I'm gonna mute those strings because I took that sample. And what's nice is I can lower it so it's not so dominant in the mix, right? So when I'm writing, I also want to be able to think. Okay, so the drums will keep a dominant thing, and the idea was like, well, what am I gonna do now? Right? I'm gonna play probably bass, right? How am I gonna play the bass? Well, now I have options, right? I can do it on the OP field, because I know I could pick a bass sound, right? I could do it in the modular, right? Which is typically what I like to do. Right, so it would be, let's see, yeah. So there's my Eurorack, I hear it. I'm going to make this 4 bars, and then I'm going to actually record this live, right? It's going to be quantized as I record it. And I've got plenty of gain on the Eurorack, but this is just a super simple square wave, right? We're playing a square wave bass line, right? It's like a rolling voice, right? Little 303-ish, right? A little bit of reverb and delay. That's in the Eurorack. That is not in Ableton. So another thing that I do, and this might be controversial, but I'll say it out loud, is I actually print with the effect on it from the machine. I don't post-process my effects. So if I'm going to make an effect, I'm going to use a guitar pedal. I'm going to use the delay inside of a device, i.e. Elektron. I love their delays. I like their filters. I like TE's effects. I like tip-top effects. I like 4MS effects. So if you're wondering, like, when I punch in a sound, I actually punch the sound with the effect and everything on recording, right? So right now we've got a groove. We're talking about making music that kind of evolves, right? And so I'm working on a bass line that is from the Eurorack, and I was talking about recording it with effects. And now I'm going to take a sample of that bass sound. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, bass. I try to give it a good amount of gain, you know, on the record in, so you see the waveform, but I don't try to make it a brick wall like this big fat. I was watching a video yesterday from one of my YouTube friend favorites talking about how music's lost a bit of its dynamic movement, and one of the tips I give a lot of my students is, like, record music at like a moderate volume and mix everything around like -6 or -12, because then the music breathes and you're not like brick walling the master channel. So hopefully when you're listening to my music, the volume of it, it's pretty loud right now, right? So the idea that I do that because it's stream and I want you guys to hear the music, right? But in my producer world, I like to mix here, right? Like lower. And I'm going to turn that string down too. And the reason I do that is because it just seems a little easier on my ears, and I don't want to go deaf. So I would tell everybody, I try to mix 84 decibels in the studio, and I literally will have a decibel meter telling me how loud it is while I'm recording. For my ear's sake, right? For protection. All right, so we're making the most simple thing that can go in a couple directions, all right? And now we're going to talk about how I branch off and make it not the same loop all the time, right? Like, how do we make this progress a little? I can punch in and out new drum sounds now. I can have fun. And what I like to make is this bed. I have like a string, I have a bass, and I've got like the bed of the drums, I would call it, right? So now I'm going to duplicate my scene. Meaning I just make another scene, and then anything that I don't want to hear anymore, let's say I don't want strings and I don't want something else, let's see what happens, watch. And so like right now is a good example of, I got rid of the strings, I kept the bass, right? And now what if I wanted to get playful and record a new idea, right? I don't know, I'm making this up as I go. I made this in A on purpose, or A minor on purpose, because it was just really easy for me to do. Oh. Right, so I got some sounds. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare everybody. It scared me. So I have a bunch of things. So So I'm just going to do like I'm just going on a tangent, okay? This is not planned. Last time I did this is kind of where I crashed and burned. I don't have a feeling I'm going to do that today because I have a really good idea what's going on. And I'm recording into the second scene, not the first scene. I'm making a new scene now that's going to have some, what I call development. We're going to try to change what's going on a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add me playing like this koto sound or this string sound from the OP field. And I'm going to just hit enter. That starts the loop. I get 1 bar, and then you're going to hear me record, okay? So 2, 3, 4. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I say good enough for a good take. Has some fun feeling. I'm going to lower it a little bit. And I'm going to move it somewhere new because I want to be able to play over that, right? So my big trick is I always take a sample in a track and then I drag it over to the other side so that I have room on the track again to retake the instrument if I wanted, because I can just switch and make some super annoying new sound. Or I could play another instrument, which I'm about to do, which is the MIDI side of the Eurorack system, which if I wasn't muted and I was selecting MIDI channel 3 like I'm supposed to, you'd hear this uber annoying sound that's actually really beautiful underneath. That's the swan. And so I'm going to take a digital sound now because my bass was analog, my drums were FM digital, and some of the samples were taken. And I'm actually going to play another part. So let's see what we can do now if I unmute this track, right? And I hit play. And so I'm going to play some kind of mellow. And we can play with that sound in a minute. I'm just going to record, so I'm going to... Here we go. And I can shape harmonics here like a filter, right? So as I record this, I'm going to be expressing myself. I'm going to be doing something, right? I'm going to evolve the sound, right? 5, 4, 3, 4. Okay, it took me a second to get there, right? But by halfway through, I was making something I liked, right? And so that means I got something. We're going to hear where that went. I'm going to lower it a little bit because it was kind of loud. It's this weird, like, digital sound underneath it, right? Okay. And now my idea is going to be to play lead. To play a lead instrument now to give this song like a little bit of a voice, right? And the tip I'm going to give you is always make another scene. Duplicate this scene, because if you're not making the next scene, the next spot, it's like the song isn't progressing forward. So the idea that like when I insert another scene and I'm kind of copying it, this scene is going to be where I'm playing lead, whatever, you know. I just made that up now because I know lead's on a 5. It's like the moment I know where I'm going, I can say I want this sound, you know, like just like I said I wanted the swan, and then I can say to myself, okay, now I'm going to punch in the next sound. Now, big tip for anybody who makes music in a studio or anybody who has had a lot of trouble getting music finished. All right, because that's where we're at right now. I don't know how much time I've spent on stream. 21 minutes. Okay, so 21 minutes, I've done 3 scenes, right? This is like before you go to work, before you got to go somewhere. I have an idea built, and it's built up a little bit too. You know, I can actually go back and make another scene and get rid of some stuff. I can reduce. And now I'm on like the 4th or the 3rd big idea, the big lead I'm going to play, right? And what I would say is, if you don't set up your studio with a couple pieces of gear, and today the stream was called XY Eurorack Elektron. Like, I'm showing you how my studio is pretty much always plugged in, right? And that way when I come into the studio and I'm like, okay, I got a half hour, I'm going to make a song, I can make these big decisions. You know, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and he said that he has trouble writing, music in general. And the big problem is he doesn't have like this concrete way the studio's set up. Now, over time, mine changes. It's not like it's always, you know, I got other systems and I have other keyboards and I do switch pieces of gear and I use different drum machines. So what you're seeing now is an iteration that I'll use for 3 months to write. And then I'll change a couple pieces. And that's, you know, just like any artist who uses different medium, brushes, whatever. That's how I feel when I do this, right? So, all right, we were going to record a lead. I've got like a little bit more time, so I'm going to finish up. I'm going to record this lead, and then we're going to record everything into the arrangement view, so I show you how this finishes. So right now, and I got a different scene, and yep. All right, and I'm going to record this live as if I'm a guitarist or any instrumentalist that plays live. I'm just going to start recording. I'm going to do it on the track 1. I have an open track. I have plenty of time to record, okay? The other tip I give students all the time is don't be in a rush to record the part you're about to record. Like, don't be in some hurry. Just take your time, record as long as you need to. A clip, how long does a clip is a clip? That's a trick question, because a clip can be as short or as long as you want it to be until you run out of hard drive space. So if I hit record on this clip, I can do it for the next 3 hours if I had that much time, which right now I don't. But if I want to record 70 bars, I could do it, and then I can find where I played the best. All right, so we're going to hit record. 16 bars right there. Like I said, I'm in no hurry. Oh, excuse me, 32 bars. Yep. Now, you can duplicate this, and you can get rid of all the drums, like pretty much. So I just made a break. You got different scenes now that you can hit play on, and this is what I was talking about. Like, what if I wanted to make a scene no hi-hat, kind of like this weird like jazzy break, not as much stuff? What if we don't want the bass in this one either, because that thing, Got this weird break. I got rid of some stuff. You know, the scene writing process and the track writing process is all about taking small steps to record good parts, right? And I'm not saying that these are the best parts known to man, but right now, if I actually have this little weird buildup of like a potential song in my session view, if I hit global record now, it's going to record everything as an arrangement. And this is kind of where I messed up on Saturday, right? If anybody was watching. And again, I'm sorry, like I've been getting over COVID and I've been super brain fogged. I didn't realize COVID messed with your brain this much. This has been a weird one. But like I wanted to show everybody the idea of like this is the process of me taking sounds off of Digitone. This is me taking sounds off of Digitakt. This is me taking sounds off the OPXY. And it's also me taking sounds off the Eurorack, right? And at any moment in time, I got a couple open tracks. If I started playing on the system, like I got an open track to start recording again. So it's like in this world, if you leave a couple instruments always plugged in and ready, and when you take a sample from them, you move it to another track and get it off so that the track's open again to re-record the instrument. These are ways that we can keep sampling the same synth as different sounds. And this is the way that we can make different sequences and mute everything and take parts from the best of what we want to glue together. So today was hopefully insightful in how I take snippets from different instruments and turn them into loops that become scenes and become songs. Some of them worked out really well. Some of them sound kind of funny. But in the end, I got a nice spot to start, right? Here's my next part, ready? See, the idea that like if you don't create the next scene so that you can play into it, you're never gonna have any changes if you just sit in the same scene. And that idea that like all I did was hit Command D to duplicate a scene, right? You know, to do like a copy, right? And then like I can also duplicate one with nothing in it and then change the drums completely. Like, could you imagine if I just was like, let's say, and this is not joking, like watch what happens here. Yeah, watch this. Let's see if I can do it real quick. I do this a lot, okay? So let's say I hit play on this scene. Like I just snuck like a halftime beat in there, right? Watch. Put it somewhere louder, but like if you don't make new scenes and give yourself this ability to just completely change everything, you're gonna sit in the same spot, you know, and that like to me gets kind of dangerous, right? Like even this repeating bass line, I've like heard it enough, like I'm ready to move on. So I always encourage students to make a new scene, to delete like a part completely, the drums, the bass, and like even know where you're at. I was playing A and G, like just, or A and C, and like it's just really easy to make the next scene. But instead of making the drums that same feel, like go for adding halftime feel, go for adding a ride cymbal, go for adding, I don't know, you know, change it up. Take a couple samples. Another thing I heard earlier in one of the videos I watched was one, that people don't mic things enough. So just taking a microphone in front of an amplifier and miking a synth or miking a guitar is better than just plugging it in, dry. You'll get more air, you get more life. I heard that, and that was like a really great tip. And online, I've seen a lot of a witch hunt lately about gear in general. I'm not going to go into details about the videos that I've watched and everything that's going on. But I will say this, if you like making music with particular things, no matter what people call you, no matter what people say because you use certain pieces of gear, do the things that make you feel good when you write, musically. And when that well dries up, find another piece that makes you feel good that you can play music into, right? I don't care if it's a workstation. I don't care if it's a mono synth. I don't care if it's a little boutique piece of gear. I don't care if it's boutique Eurorack modules, because they're expensive and this adds up fast and it just makes fart sounds. But like, you spend so much time shaping your sounds till they sound really good to what you want them to sound like. And sometimes the interface, as hokey as it looks like a what's the word, a string engine, if you want it to look like a string because that's in your eyes what feels good, then buy the synth that makes you feel good because of the string engine. If it took you a little longer to save up to buy one versus the other, don't let somebody shame you in it being the cheapest piece of gear or the more expensive piece of gear. Like, I've seen people online like shaming people because of gear they use because of the way it costs, and then as they shame somebody in a video, behind them they have 16 keyboards from Dave Smith and Korg that are all $4,000 or $5,000 keyboards, and they're yelling at you that you spent $2,000 on a synthesizer that you like, right? So I would say continue to do the things that you like to do and watch how much online you're watching people, because the stories that people make up sometimes are always stories from their opinionated house, just like my opinions are right now, right? So I would say if you're making music with gear that you like, that's what matters. Be careful, because if people are dogging things or talking bad about the gear you like, look behind them, because they've spent money on tens of gear and they back a bunch of people. Everyone is in this consumerism America phase, and nobody's buying music. Nobody is going out there buying records. They're buying small amounts of records. They're streaming most of their music, right? They're not buying the albums. So think about, when was the last time you bought an album from someone online? And go out there and maybe make somebody's day and go buy somebody's record, because you want to support what they're doing instead of going on to Spotify and giving the guy that runs Spotify $1 billion like we've been doing, or giving Apple Music $1 billion like we've been doing. Maybe today make a change that you're going to support somebody, and spend $5. I don't know, and I would say a little bit of that every single day changes the wind of what's going on in society, because it's really easy to go and say, I'm just going to buy on Amazon instead of walk into a shop and spend $2 more, because we don't have the money. We've been squeezed. But I would say watch what you do, because that reverberates into the world, and that's where I've been trying to stream and share ideas and try to share with people to try to get out of their comfort zone and write loops that they might not, to make your studio a certain way and stick with it for a while, so you write some tunes, and then encourage people to write music and support others, because the more you want others to succeed, I think a lot of times the more you succeed yourself, and watch, because false prophets are out there. I've somebody just berating me, but they're not training me. You gotta have people that support you. You gotta have people that are in your corner. You don't want to have people that aren't supporting you and not, supporting that cause. And when they don't, just go another direction, because there's a lot of work out there to be done. There's a lot of good and negative. There's a lot of both. So try to sift through and watch how much you're online. Like, spend more time in your space. Spend more time in your studio. And I think that's why I've been sharing my studio with people online, because maybe the inspiration of me sharing my studio will get you to get back into your studio and make more music, right? That was the point of the channel, I wasn't feeling like I was getting as much work done, so I started streaming, and I wanted people to be excited about making music again and excited about workflow and process, right? All right, well, everybody have a good Monday, January 6th. Have a good day, spread good throughout the world. Make some music, make some art, be creative, support your friends, and support people out there that you love. Tell everybody who you care about, and try to make a difference for the good, right? All right, have a good day, everybody.